Hurricane Ian and other weather disasters caused at least $1 billion in damage each, costing more than $165 billion in damage. Now, there's been a dramatic upswing in the size and the number of super costly extremes in the U.S. since about 2016. It's going to bring in meteorologist Elisa Raffa here to break down more on this new report shedding light on how costly these disasters are.
Yeah, and so, no surprise here, it's a lot.
It's sad because meteorologists and climate scientists, we see these reports every year, and every year they get more costly, more deadly, more extreme, and yeah, it's to no one's surprise. Continuing to track the third most active year on record, right? So the big headline out of this report today is that there were 18 separate billion-dollar disasters in the U.S., and that makes 2022 the third most active year on record. And guess who took the number 1 and 2 spots? It was only 2020 and 2021. So the last 3 years have been the last 3 active on record. Here's a look at the map of what some of those disasters were. Of course, Ian is on the list. Fiona's also on the list, and Nicole. We had a pretty destructive second half of the hurricane season. The extreme drought also on the list that happened in the West. A couple of severe weather events with hailstorms and damaging windstorms in the Midwest, flooding in Kentucky and Missouri, and even that late winter, the lake effect snow that happened up in Buffalo and that extreme cold also cost at least $1 billion. Now, this graphic hasn't been updated since October, so once it is updated, this line will be right up the top with 2020 and 2021. So you can see those 3 will be the 3 most active on record. But I wanted to show this to you because this is what an average year would be. 7 disasters that cost $1 billion, not 20, not 18, right? So we are at the top of the extreme. So 18 separate billion-dollar disasters. The third most active on record, average is 7. 474 people were killed, and it cost us more than $160 billion would it be dollars. Ian wound up being the costliest hurricane on record. Just Ian alone cost $112 billion. And the days between disasters is dropping. The days that we have to recover in between disasters used to be about 82 days in between disasters back in the 1980s, meaning that the disasters weren't as frequent, right? But look at what happens as you go to the last couple of years. It shrinks. The days that we have to recover in between, that shrinks to only about 18 days in between because more of these disasters are more common. That impacts us, of course, physically, being able to recover your home, insurance, all of those things, but it also impacts us mentally. A lot of people report PTSD and anxiety and depression from dealing with these extreme events so often and not having to be able to catch a break. It really does wind up taking a toll. The report also talked about warming temperatures as a whole. As far as the nation goes, it wound up being about the 18th warmest on record. In Charlotte, our average temperature for the year was 1 degree warmer than average and 2% wetter. And you're like, Lisa, those numbers are so small. Why does 1 degree really matter? You have to think about it as a fever, right? And when you warm average, then warm becomes normal, right? Then your hot is not that hot anymore, and your hot keeps getting more extreme. So you see the way this is changing? Here's average. Well, now you made average warm, and then look what happens to the hot. Extreme heat becomes even hotter and hotter. So those small differences in average do make a big difference when it comes to extreme.